Mega Man X is so fucking good. It was my first Mega Man game, and it's still my favorite. Even after I played such gems as... I really can't help but get a big, stupid grin on my face whenever I start the Central Highway stage and... well, let's just say, Moving Pictures, Nevermind, American Idiot, the Mega Man X soundtrack. Okay, so I'm going to assume that you're a human being that's alive, and therefore you probably know why people love this stage so much. So I'm just going to keep it brief. It does a really good job of teaching the player how to play the game without assaulting them with entire paragraphs on how to walk in a straight line, which is a novel concept, I know. Once you know what you're doing, it feels pretty good, because you're just wasting robots indiscriminately, and you're all like, I'm a fucking badass. And then this toolbox shows up, and he's like, no, it is I who is a fucking badass. And he fucks you up. He beats the shit out of you, and... Can I just take a moment to talk about how Vile is the greatest thing ever? See, the goal of every game ever is to get better at it. That's just common knowledge. The difference here is that Vile acts as motivation by showing you what happens when you fuck that up. Zero even says verbatim you shouldn't expect to beat him. And you just want to yell, hey, fuck that! But then you remember, oh yeah. It's kind of haunting because throughout the whole game, no matter what you do, you still have Vile's shadow looming over you. Knowing I would have to face him again at the end of the game gave me more reason to improve than 30 hours of fucking mistranslated text ever could. Now, everyone talks about how Zero makes this game because he saves you and he's a badass and you want to get stronger to live up to him, and trust me, I'm aggressively gay for him, but hey, never underestimate a good rival. So I'm kind of a speed junkie, and I'm not just referring to my crippling meth addiction. You see, Mega Man X's level design is much more momentum-based than the original game's single-screen obstacle courses, which really worked for those games perfectly. But this game allows you to dash and jump off walls and just fucking go crazy with your movement. And they knew they couldn't restrict you to one screen at a time, so they just said, fuck it, and made all the levels one big screen with no loading between segments. This mobility even allowed them to be more creative with the bosses, because they'll throw crazy projectiles at you and you're like, how am I supposed to dodge that? And then you're like, oh, I can just dash over. Oh. The bosses in this game are a really great way of testing how accustomed you are to the game's new mechanics. This is good game design. You can also cheat the system by beating stages in a specific order. Those electric sparks on the floor giving you trouble? Well, just kill Storm Eagle and crash his fucking airship into the power plant. Makes whatever this is a lot more manageable. Oh, what's wrong? You out of juice? You know, I can just straight up shoot tornadoes out of my hand. Although sometimes this kind of works to the game's detriment. What do I mean? Well... if you held a gun to my head, I think I'd have to say Armored Armadillo's stage is my favorite in the game. I just love the aesthetic of the mine for some reason. And just sliding all over the place on this thing, and just jumping and shooting birds and shit. It's awesome. It's like non-stop movement. And then you actually get to Armored Armadillo, and what is the pattern here? You know, I bet him and Launch Octopus are best friends, and he's like, so then I bounced stuff off the wall over and over again, and then I did that again. Well, I wrapped my tentacles around him and sucked until he exploded all over me. That's what I assume they talk like. Okay, so let's wrap this up by talking about the first Sigma stage, because it's like the most important stage in the game, and I really like it. Except for this part. And this part. And this part. And this part. Okay, so you finally get back to Vile, and it's the most intense scene in the game, because it was organically built up to. You have your own reasons for wanting to fight him, and the worst part of it all is now Zero can't help you. So, like, he beats your ass again, and Zero's like, okay, I gotta step in. So he's like, hey, fuck you, Boba Fett, and then he explodes. But it doesn't work, and Vile's alive, and... See, I like this boss fight because it's not terribly complicated. It's pretty much just a one-on-one duel between you and Vile. The strategy to beat him is just shoot him a bunch. It's really simplistic, but again, the game built up to this so organically that it feels important to you. You've been waiting for this rematch the whole game, and now he's made it personal. And finally... Okay, so you beat him and it feels really good for like 2 seconds, and then you remember that Zero's fucking dead now. 'Cause the hardest part of this is leaving you. And at that moment, when you've finally proven once and for all who is in fact a fucking badass, you need to use your newfound badassery to do what is right. Don't worry, Zero. I'm gonna finish this fight for you. So you finally get to Sigma, and wait, is that a lightsaber? Okay, so you finally get to Sigma, and... Yeah, on second thought, fuck this game. 2 out of 10.